911 systems here with the mini SDR radio server rack. Runs Rdio scanner, ThinLine-Radio scanner, server, trunking recorder, and other software that you may need. This is a look at the front of the unit. It does have a locking front door and a rear that has mounting screws for mounting on a wall if needed. You can see in here we have the cooling fan, the USB hub with 4 SDRs, an 8 dB gain broadcast drop amplifier, and then an AMD Ryzen 7 computer with 32 gigs of RAM, or 24 gigs of RAM in some cases. Surge protector with USB, provides power to everything in the box. And then a switch to control the speed of the fan. NMO mount on top for your choice of antenna. And then looking at the rear, you can see the fan, the 4 SDRs, the drop amp, the computer, and power supply. This is the back cover that would go on and mount to this. Has 4 screws on the inside for mounting. This particular unit had 2 NMO mounts. This one is not connected right now, but this was for VHF radio, and this was for 7/800 megahertz. All right, so this is the SDRTrunk window. This is a program that's included with the live scanner streaming server. Now this actually feeds directly to Rdio scanner. Using the playlist editor, you can edit where your transmissions are sent. And this is something that can be configured on your end with our base package, or if you want a fully configured and ready to go unit, we do have that available as well. But Rdio scanner can listen to P25 or conventional channels, and it basically routes everything. So you can choose your aliases. You can choose if you want to listen to them locally on the local computer, which there are no speakers included with our server rack, but you can add speakers to it if you wanted to hear the audio at the server rack. This is the listen, and then whatever you have selected here to record will be sent over to the trunking recorder application, which I'm going to show you here in a minute. So this is SDRTrunk. Like I said, this can either come fully configured, or you can load everything yourself. Let me see here. I'm going to close down this for right now. And I'm going to pull up trunking recorder so you can see that. Trunking recorder just kind of runs here on the desktop. And if you were sending any data to it, you would be able to hit the view recordings. This SDRTrunk is not set to set anything to it, but this is kind of what the layout looks like. You'd be able to play calls back. I'll show you that a little bit later on here on a different video, or on a different part of the video. But you can configure all your settings and stuff here. And you know, it'll kind of give you an idea of like what you're recording, how you're importing the calls through SDRTrunk, how long you want to keep the calls for, 60, 90 days, a year, forever. Some systems can get pretty busy, so I do 60 days. That's usually enough time to go back and pull audio or look up audio for whatever you're trying to find. It has a lot of other features like email and stuff. I'm not going to click on any of this because I have my email settings in there. But if this is something that you set up, then we can definitely help you with setting up your email stuff or configuring it. So that's trunking recorder. Now, the other thing that we do include on here is the Rdio scanner, and you can see that runs in the background here. It's as a service, so it automatically starts whenever the computer starts. And then if you wanted to go to that particular server, then you would just, on the local computer, you would go localhost on port 3000, and this pulls up your Rdio scanner. Now, there's nothing configured for this yet, so if I went to talk groups, it's going to be empty because we haven't configured anything for this particular Rdio scanner, but it definitely could be easily configured by you or by us. Now, let's see here. Now, we showed the trunking recorder admin side where you can configure everything and set it up. This is what you actually see when you go to the link. And this link is can be a localhost link, or can be just on your network, or you can use a Cloudflare tunnel or port forwarding to pass this along so it's available to the outside for outside access remotely. Now this setup here is kind of a lot of our feeds all are connected to this particular trunking recorder instance. So you can see we have Anne Arundel County, Charles County, St. Mary's County, Charles County, some of Charles County, Calvert County, all feeds into this recorder. So this kind of records all the Southern Maryland, Central and Southern Maryland area for playback. Now with trunking recorder, you can actually go in here and look up a particular channel. So if you wanted to find something for an incident, let's say there was an incident on 1 Echo in Anne Arundel County, you could click on this, and then this brings you up all the incidents on 1 Echo, and you can click all dates, and that would bring up 25 pages of incidents. So it looks like they had an incident this morning they were working on starting at 10 o'clock, or sorry, 10:14, so you can play that back. And if you come up here to the top and you do continuous playback, when you click it, it will play them through.
Fire alarm engine 301, you have acknowledged. 301, please.
301 to 321, for instance, prior to the hydrant on Green Branch and Creamwell.
Okay.
Units on Stillvessel and Echo. I have a 4-story Type 3 apartment complex, multi-dwelling. Nothing shown on all 4 sides. No evidence of fire smoke on the lowest level. I will be treating this call as a carbon monoxide with a gas leak. For the fire alarm, we're evacuating. We have pallet 20.
So as you heard, that was just some recording from an incident from Anne Arundel County earlier this morning at the time of doing this video. But this is kind of how trunking recorder works. You can also look up by radio IDs. So if you have a particular radio you want to look up, for example, like say I want to look up, I know ambulance 388. So I'll look up their number, which is 2585303. And this will show me all the transmissions made by that particular radio. There's 3 pages of them. So this is just kind of a quick overview of trunking recorder. I might do another video if y'all are interested in how trunking recorder can do a lot of stuff. Let me see here. But moving along, I'm going to show you what the Rdio scanner interface looks like, which is also included on this server. So this is what Rdio scanner looks like for the user. It has the current time up at the top left, how many listeners, how many calls are in the queue. And then you can choose what channels you want to listen to. If you choose everything, you will get a built-up queue, which means you're going to have a lot of calls pending or start getting delayed responses. So for me, I turn off the police a lot of times, services, security, interop, events. I don't need that. I want to listen to fire and EMS mostly. So we're going to go ahead and listen to all fire and EMS. And as those calls come across...
32 Southern Maryland.
32 Southern Maryland, 1328.
You'll see calls start to come in and whatnot. And then as a new call comes in, the previous call gets pushed down into this list. And then you can go back and play calls back, very similar to how you can play calls back from Trunking Recorder. However, you don't have all the search features. That's why we include Trunking Recorder as well. But you can play stuff back by radio system, date and time, or by tags or talk group. If you do choose a particular system, say I want to listen to St. Mary's and I want to hear Alpha 2, I can play back just Alpha 2 and I can go back several, see the time changing. But right now, you can see
3938.23240 was court from 1058, 80-year-old female fell hit her head, AMF.
Now,
PHA.
I'm going to stop this for a minute. St. Mary's County has different microphones on their consoles, and some are over modulated or too much gain. So there is distortion on some of the dispatchers talking, which is kind of hard to correct. It needs to be corrected at the administrative level, and that just hasn't happened yet. But for the most part, you get pretty clear audio out of this Rdio scanner. And then one step further is ThinLine-Radio. So like I like Rdio scanner because it's just a cut and dry. You use it for free on the web browser. You can use their app with ads for free. Without ads, I think that Rdio scanner's app is like $30 or so. So what I would do, in most cases, I would use the Rdio scanner if you just want to provide a free feed where it's just audio and be able to choose which channels you want to listen to on the fly. So like, if say there's a working incident and it's on Charles County 10 Alpha 2, then you can come here to Charles and you can just choose 10 Alpha 2 or 10 Alpha 3 or whatever it is, and you can listen to just that. It's that simple. And nobody has to register. It can have a secure password if you don't want public access. But it's a straightforward, easy interface. And that usually works for most people. But there are some other programs that we use that we can include, like ThinLine-Radio, that not does all of this, but it also has alerting and push notifications. It can do two-tone detect and push that to your phone or your tablet, even to your computer in some cases. And then you also have the ability to do other things. So let me show you ThinLine-Radio next. So this is ThinLine-Radio. This is what their computer interface looks like. And kind of what you can see here is this particular server that you're seeing has transcriptions using Whisper set up. With the Whisper transcription services on this particular server, it will try to read what the dispatcher is saying and turn it to text. And most of the time, it doesn't work as good as it could. Like this here is not even close to what was said. But if you listen to what the dispatcher sounds like when I play this back, you'll understand why the transcription service doesn't work properly.
Box 305-21348 Lynn Drive, Friday 2-minute crisis, 30 response, 155.
I mean, I'm human and I could barely understand them. I can understand him because I hear him all the time talking the way he talks, and I can put stuff together. But the computer can't decode that. Now, if you look at this one, this dispatcher was actually a lot clearer spoken. You can see that it caught the keyword trespassing. Let's jump back up here.
204.
Let me stop the live feed for a second. So let's go back up here. The reason this tried to transcribe this is because it was a two-tone detect. It detected Company 3's two-tone page, and then from that, it tried to listen to what the dispatcher was saying and turn it to text. In this particular alert, see, this was a tone alert. In this particular, it was a keyword alert, so it hit on the keyword trespassing.
Car station 412 Park for trespassing, the light, Electric Park, 21600 Green Hills Road, And so these will also register the advisor that a male involved in previous acts is currently registered 6. The white male wearing a gray hoodie or flannel jacket, some golden black. They also has a belt on and pants. Advisor there is a female, like female under 50, standing by the airlock on the church.
So you can hear it was pretty close to what she was saying. And then here's some other keywords here, and another tone alert. So it all depends on how clear the dispatcher speaks, to be honest. If the dispatcher doesn't speak very clearly, then transcription services doesn't work. But let's move along and get away from transcription services and alerts for right now, just to kind of go over. This is very similar to RDIO Scanner. It's actually built off of the original code for RDIO Scanner, and then there was a bunch of add-ons by the developer, which is still under development for ThinLine-Radio. But you can choose your channels, and your channels are chosen very similar to how you choose your channels for RDIO Scanner. It's just accordion type setup and whatnot. You can choose by category. Then you can go into that category and choose which channels you want to listen to. So that's Anne Arundel County. You can choose, each individual channel there. You can make some favorites. If you wanted to make Anne Arundel County a favorite, you can add it up here to the favorite list. If you wanted to make a specific, just a couple of talk groups favorites, then you could come here and you can make that and say you wanted to listen to the main incident channels. So let's just say One Echo. You made those two favorites. Now, up here in Anne Arundel County, you would see just those two channels in your favorites list. So it's kind of nice. It's a nice touch on things. I kind of like this setup. You can choose, what systems you want to hide. If there are systems that you never listen to, you can turn them off. So let's see here. When you're playing calls here, you'll see the information pop in.
26 on higher cold.
7 hot, please.
Okay.
And then that info drops down here. As it plays, the previous call pushes down one, and it shows the last 10 calls here. You can pause. What pause does, it'll let the queue build up as you're doing something. So say I need to talk to you for a minute, and we don't want to miss anything that's being said, but we don't want to hear it right now. You can hit pause, and you can see that the calls are queuing into the wait list. And then you hit play, and it plays them calls.
Suite was arrived. 1 escort type 5, nothing at that, we're investigating.
On location, nothing, I have an investigating agent 281. Box 3214.
But this is kind of how ThinLine-Radio works. There's a bunch of other settings which I'll talk to in detail in a different video if I choose to do one later. Because this video is already going to be about 20 minutes long, I already know, going over all this stuff. So a nice thing with the ThinLine-Radio is just the interface is gorgeous. And you have a lot of setting options and stuff like that. But the other thing is it has alerts. So if I go into my alerts, I can see, the tone was detected. And it tries to transcribe it like I said before. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the main thing is you'll get a push notification as soon as the alerts are heard. And then to set this up is even cooler. So if I go into my preferences, and this is on the web version. The mobile version is a little different. I'll do a separate video for that for sure. But I can go into Calvert County, for example, and I can go to Fire Dispatch, because that's where they do tone paging at. And I can say I want tone alerts for North Duty Chief, the South Duty Chief, Prince Frederick Fire, and the Mobile Crisis Team. So if any of those tones set off, it will try to transcribe the call and send me an instant push pre-alert to my phone or device as soon as the tones are heard. And it's pretty quick. You can usually get the tones, and if you're looking at your phone when you get the tone notification, you can usually click the alert and hear the call live. So it's a pretty fast dispatch, but you can always go back and play the audio back as well. You can also choose your keyword alerts here. So if you wanted all fire keywords, and you can get a list of those, it'll give you a list of all the keywords will pop up. So anything that any of these words are said it would trigger an alert on your phone as well. So this is the alerts for ThinLine-Radio. Now, just for ThinLine-Radio, I want to show you the administrative panel because it has a lot of functionality. So this is the admin page. This is where you would access and control all your stuff as far as ThinLine-Radio goes. So as you can see here, this is the link to our ThinLine-Radio feed if you wanted to become a subscriber. And then we don't charge currently for our ThinLine-Radio, but you can actually do a paywall, what they call a paywall, which allows you to bill or charge monthly. So you can see here, this is where your members or users have to register. This is like the settings if it's a public registry by invite only, or if it's the centralized management system, which is something new they haven't released as of mid-February. And then user groups, we just have one called Southern Maryland. I need to work on my user groups because we are going to be doing Central and Southern Maryland. Oops. We'll have to remove that because we don't need to. Alright. Your API keys, I don't want to necessarily show these. But on second thought, it does not show the key, so I will show you how this works. These API keys are how SDRTrunk sends audio from the server, from the SDRTrunk software to the ThinLine-Radio software. So you generate a API key here, you copy that API key, and then in SDRTrunk you can add a feed, and then you put the SDRTrunk key in and label it whatever you want, and then you choose which channel should be sent using that key. So obviously this key has Anne Arundel channels from the Anne Arundel server going to it, where the Charles County server, is separate. The Calvert County server is separate from that. So these are multiple computers. So like Anne Arundel is its own computer, Charles is its own computer, Calvert's its own computer, St. Mary's is its own computer. Naval District Washington is piggybacked off the Calvert server. But it can be this can be a very simple or complex system. So this is just a look into how ours is set up. Then we also have Directory Watch, which is, we don't use it. We use the API feature. It's better, I think. Directory Watch works really good for trunking recorder when it's watching the SDRTrunk recorded audio file. It lets you keep some separation between how stuff works, I guess is the best way to describe it. But then you have like your downstreams, which you can send stuff to another instance of ThinLine-Radio. Groups are the different, you can see, self-explanatory. Your options let you choose your bit rates and type of audio, what type of normalization you'd like to use. And then there's a bunch of stuff here for making adjustments, putting your email address in for support, transcription services. We run our transcription through Whisper locally, but this is the computer that's running this is a pretty hefty computer. It's like a Ryzen AI Max 395, 128 gigs of RAM, and 64 gig video card. So I mean, it runs the Whisper server very good. It's also a $3,000 computer. So not everybody is going to get the best results using Whisper, but you can also choose if you want to use Azure or Google or Assembly AI. Like Azure and Google are API based and they're remote, so it sends the data out to the Google server, then it comes back. So there is some delay there if you go that route. There's just a lot. There's so much. There's so many settings, and then this is for push notifications. This is part of what you would set up as a user. And then here you see our systems, and then if we wanted to make changes to the systems that the customer or user sees. So I go to St. Mary's County, and you can see here, this is kind of how ours is set up. If there was a delay, so some law enforcement, they prefer you have a delay if you can help them out. If you want to do that, you can. We don't delay anything unless it's required or requested. So far, no requests have been made to delay anything. Let's see here. But let's say I wanted to delay St. Mary's Dispatch. I could come here and I could say, how many delays would you like to delay this? And let's say they wanted a 15-minute delay, then I can do that. And then everything for this talk group for police dispatches would be delayed 15 minutes. That way the looky-loos and whoever won't be able to interfere necessarily with the initial part of the investigation. And then you can see here we do have their tone detect. It's a 990 hertz tone. And then it has to be at least 0.3 seconds long with a tone tolerance of 15 hertz. So when this tone comes across as their simulcast alert, it does send a push notification to users that have that selected. So that's just one of the St. Mary's talk groups. But there's a lot going on here. It's a pretty in-depth system. The logs will tell you what's going on, and then it'll tell you like your system alerts here. Most of these are just saying that this channel has tone detection, but no tones have been heard for this many calls, which is not unusual for that particular channel. So we can clear that out. Then it's going to say that there is some transcription service errors, and we do have the occasional transcription service errors. It's just part of the game. But for the last 24 hours, out of thousands of calls that were transcribed, only 7 errors, so that's not bad. I'd be more concerned if I seen 100 in an hour. Then I'd start looking at the transcription server and see what's going on with that. There's just so many settings in this. Sometimes it can be very confusing. But there's a lot here in ThinLine-Radio, and this is free software for you to use at your will. The mobile app does have something you need to pay a subscription for. I think it's like 99 cents a month, which kind of maintains the app, which is very reasonable. Plus, it gets rid of the ads on the mobile app. If you're just going to use this for the scanner on your computer, there's no charge for this. The push notifications are included with everything as far as I understand. So that's ThinLine-Radio. And there's a lot more to this setup, but this is all the stuff that we can configure for you. And obviously there would be an additional cost if we configure your entire server for you. Significantly difference in cost, because it does take a lot of time to configure these servers and get them up and running. But hopefully this was a pretty good look at everything, and if you have any questions, you can definitely reach out and email us at sales@911systemsllc.com for more information.